So what's happened in 22 years then? Can you explain because I'm assuming what you need is financing, right?
Not anymore.
Okay.
No.
So why the presentation?
Oh, because I wanted to. So we have an investment platform, and for somebody like Frank or any average person, this is kind of like an opportunity to invest in Facebook before it was Facebook, and so why not? And so Frank came to a demo a few months ago, and I said, come back, hopefully this is the last round of financing. And if it is, great. If it isn't, then we'll keep going.
So you basically need a change of government. You need the Liberals to be kicked out.
Oh, the Liberals are going to be kicked out, for sure. But no, you don't need that either, because the technology, the innovation, the new laws of physics are more powerful than Justin Trudeau. Because his carbon tax is based on Faraday technology. His carbon tax is based on you guys buying and burning gasoline. But if you have a quantum supercharger in your internal combustion engine that eliminates the fuel consumption and the CO2 and the air pollution starting at 30 kilometers an hour, right, until you stop, every climate change, totalitarian agenda issue, whatever, it's out the window. It's out the window. So, the question is now, who's going to be the one to burst the bubble? Is it going to be Pierre Poilievre? Is it going to be, could be Brian Mulroney? Could be,
Is he the prior Prime Minister?
Brian Mulroney, yeah, conservative, yeah. So,
His son?
Well, he's in media, right?
sorry?
He's in media.
He used to be.
Used to be.
So you don't need financing, but you're offering a last round.
No, every
It's singing.
is he snoring?
No, he's
You have a
singing.
question?
Every company needs financing. We still have patents that we need to file, and we have 2 new patents that we need to file.
Are you Heins International? I'm sorry.
Sorry?
Are you
U.S. patents. So one of the things that Brian Mulroney's law firm, it's not his, but he works there, their law firm will do is file patents internationally. So, but that's tens of millions of dollars. That's not what we're talking about here. Sorry?
You've heard the term before, seed money to get things launched, to get things going a bit. But in this case here, it's more kind of loan. So
What?
the idea is that you put in,
Yeah.
recurring investments, you get the money back as well.
Yeah.
Plus the carbon points. That's the way it was. How you're going to set this up now.
Yeah, so the way it works, the way the investment strategy works is we have about 110 carbon investors who put in, each investor puts in X amount of dollars. We have investors that have put in $100 to an investor, my brother-in-law, who's put in $500,000. So the investment platform allows anybody to invest, and then when the company starts generating revenue, the original cash outlay from the investor gets returned. So the ROI, return on investment, is infinite because the original outlay is $0 and the return is going to be more than 0. So the technology operates at an infinite efficiency, and the investment strategy operates at infinite efficiency.
A question about the physics. The Ukrainian Institute is looking at the laws that you just described. How does the current science explain how the alternator works in a car?
It can't. It doesn't. It doesn't. It can't.
They do not explain that.
They points out.
The current science will say that the alternator delivers power to the battery,
Power from where?
electric power to the battery. The alternator turns, okay, and a voltage is induced in the alternator. When it's connected to the battery, current and power flow to the battery. The battery is being recharged. The alternator is performing work
Due to input from where?
from the
From
belt.
the,
From the
belt.
belt.
Oh, I see.
The alternator is performing work, and then they jump. Then they make a jump, a mental jump off a cliff, literally. That the law of conservation of energy says that because the alternator is doing work, it needs input.
So the input that they see is the mechanical input.
Yes, yes.
What slows down the engine?
But the leap that they're making, the false leap, is it's not the law of conservation of energy that necessitates the additional input. It's the law of creation of energy that facilitates it. So the reason that they can't and won't explain it is because the real explanation requires the law of creation of energy. It's not the law of conservation of energy. And Newton's third law, so the counter electromagnetic torque, the negative work that the alternator performs, the negative work that the EV generator performs during regenerative braking that you saw here, and blah, blah, blah. In physics, all that negative work, it's put under the umbrella of Newton's third law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. The work being performed by the alternator creates an equal and opposite reaction. Well, that's complete baloney, because in an alternator, the negative work, it's not. It has Newton's third law has to conform to Newton's first law, which says the energy source to change the inertia has to be external, but it's not external, it's internal. So the first perpetual motion machine of the first guy was invented in 1820 when a Dutch physicist created electromagnetic field energy to increase the kinetic energy of a compass needle. Okay? Now, in order to change the kinetic energy of this compass needle from 0, where it is now, to something that's not 0, you need energy. You can't do it without energy. So when he put a wire beside it and deflected the needle, and that's, again, the sloppy nature of the physics and engineering community. they say deflect the needle. Well, what does deflect the needle mean? It means increase its kinetic energy. It means change its inertia.
Right.
Well, excuse me, but what Ørsted did when he changed the inertia of the compass needle was he violated Newton's first law. Like, and what happened in 1820 was they had no idea what was going on. They didn't know it was electromagnetic. The early physicists thought that electric current was a material fluid that flowed in the wires like water. That's why the water analogy is used in electrical engineering. But it's a false analogy because water flowing in a pipe doesn't create a magnetic field. So they completely missed the boat in 1820, and then the Newtonian mechanics guys, they put the electrodynamics under the umbrella of Newtonian mechanics and thermodynamics and all that, and the law of conservation of energy, but it's never belonged there, not since day one. And it's the whole physics and electrical engineering, power engineering model is all garbage. It's all nonsense. It's all false. And so, with regards to going to MIT in 2007 and being in the Power Lab in Ottawa U for 2.5 years and going to several universities, well, universities don't want to admit that this exists because now they have to go back and rewrite all the textbooks and relearn everything and change their curriculum and learn something new and start teaching something new. So you guys are, you're up shit creek because you're going to go to school and maybe they're going to teach you some of this and you're going to say, I don't think that doesn't make sense to me. And you know what they'll say? They'll say, shut up or you're not going to get your diploma. And that's what they said to me. Shut up or you're not going to get your diploma. And I said, shove your diploma up your ass. So,
Just as an aside, except for the reaction of the MIT researcher who recognized the effects,
who validated it, yeah.
Except for that, what were the reactions that you got from the other universities and the other people? Because this guy had the right reaction.
Yeah.
And he was honest to say,
Yeah.
yes, it is, it's real.
Well, we demonstrated, Gaetan and I demonstrated at Concordia. Gaetan was there, and
They can't explain it?
Okay,
they
but
gave
They all
us,
have the same
whoa.
They can't explain
They
it.
gave us a standing ovation. no less.
Yes, after the presentation, yes. But they
Well-
themselves,
okay, so the effect is real.
the effect is real.
They can't explain it, and then what? It's not there.
Well,
On the phone call,
I know what you mean.
on the phone call, the professor, so Siemens sent us to Concordia, Siemens,
Yes.
in order for us to create a research collaboration with Concordia, so Siemens could put this in their software, machine design software. And there were 12 students and professors in the demo, and they confirmed everything, just like you guys are doing here, no tricks, no nonsense. And when we followed up, they said, this represents new physics, Dr. Pillay, I'll never forget, but we have more important things to do. Thank you very much. True or not true? Exactly true.
make presentations.
We have, this represents new physics, but we have more important things to do.
Like
It's a
work on
huge-
useless batteries.
Like
No,
killed here.
no, they were just,
Yeah.
no,
That's,
they-
yeah.
they were just saying, good, too bad we can't stay, adios. That was it.
It might be intimidating, right? It's a huge undertaking with many, many roadblocks and millions, if not billions of dollars that need to be invested into this. So they scare them away.
No, it's,
The investment is not an issue at all in this thing. It's the investment is not an issue at all.
no, it has nothing to do with the investment, it's just human nature. Human nature.
They don't like change, like it's,
Well, it'd be like me coming to you and telling you that you have to change everything about selling houses now. Like, you have to go back to school and start at square one. You'd say like, I don't think so. You would resist. That's just how it works.
but if people truly want to climate change and fix the crisis and the pollution issue and the energy issue, then
But
they
they
wouldn't
don't.
do it. They don't. That's what I mean. It's all hypocritical.
Yeah,
We need the advocacy groups to get behind as opposed to the
Yeah.
political.
That's right.
That's where the focus should be.
Well,
Well, actually, if I can say something, people actually do want the change. It's just certain people on top that know what it's doing is in fear of losing everything. So if this type of thing is known more and more by the common person,
Yeah.
then it will eventually have to come out because people are going to be aware of it. So I think that's
can't
the
deny it.
way to go. If people are more aware that this type of thing
well, and
exists.
the thing is too, as the you know, I just saw on YouTube there were 47 fires in Vancouver, and they were all started by arsonists trying to use the forest fire thing as a way to promote the climate crisis. Okay,
For more
all arson. Now, as the climate crisis gets worse, and Trudeau introduces his second carbon tax, and gas prices go up, and eventually people will start looking for alternatives, and it's right here. But if we go into, if we're fortunate and we enter commercialization next month, then it's game over. It's literally game over.
What was interesting, I think, is the demonstration that you made in Pennsylvania, the battery company. I'm not naming names, but it was
Electron Energy Corporation, no, they're a magnetics company.
Magnetic, sorry.
Yeah.
That's what I'm, the magnetic effect. And these were pretty much all.
Yes, and they said, want me to tell you what they said? They said, it totally works, congratulations, I was right before, on our way to Virginia,
He admitted, yeah.
okay? It works, and we started doing demos at EEC in 2007, right after MIT. So it was 2018 when we were there, and they finally gave it the stamp of approval after half a dozen demos. They gave it the stamp of approval, but they said, don't tell anybody we said so.
Exactly.
Stamp of approval, infinite efficiency.
Who is this? Who is this again?
This is Electron Energy Corporation in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
They are the exclusive manufacturing partners for the technology, according to us. They provided assistance and education, and they're magnet experts. And rotors, the rotors that we're using came from EEC, and they validated the technology with data there in 2018, and they said 100%, no more, no question anymore, and infinite efficiency, violation, everything that I've said, but don't announce it publicly.
They say why?
Well, because they're human. That's all. Because they want to protect their reputation. But the difference in the message now, as opposed to then, is that everybody that has a laptop with a motor in it, or a car with an alternator in it, has a perpetual motion machine of the first kind. It's the most common thing on the planet. The refrigerator, the motor in the refrigerator and the dishwasher, they're perpetual motion machines of the first kind. Now, here's a motor coil, okay? A motor coil. If you put electric input energy into this motor coil, this coil only has the capacity to convert that energy conversion to heat, joule heating, via Ohm's law, Watt's power rule, Joule's law, and the law of conservation of energy. That's all it can do. It can turn this coil into an induction heater, period, full stop. Now, you put a magnet here, okay? The created electromagnetic field energy that's created around this motor coil is going to change the kinetic energy of that magnet, okay? It's going to accelerate it. But the conversion or consumption, the energy consumption in this coil is not going to change while it's performing that work. There's no link. There's no, if I'm doing 1,000,000 horsepower, the energy consumption in here, if I'm doing 0 horsepower or 1,000,000,000 horsepower, the energy consumption here is always going to be the same. What does that tell you? That even motor coils harness created electromagnetic field energy in order to perform positive work at infinite efficiency. Everybody that has an electric motor has a perpetual motion machine of the first kind. So the beauty of that statement is they're everywhere. They're the most prevalent.
But recognized as such.
Yeah, because the description on Wikipedia is not accurate. And so the guys at Electron Energy Corporation, they would have said in their head, this is a perpetual motion machine. Stamp of approval, but don't tell anybody who said it.
Perpetual motion machine.
Right?
We'll call it perpetual.
Well, don't call us, we'll call you. Like, you know. But the thing is, now, it's like, you guys all own perpetual motion machines. Until today, you were just a bunch of ignorant motherfuckers and you didn't know it. But now you're not ignorant. And that's the message for everybody. It's like, big deal. They're everywhere. But there's a huge difference between the perpetual motion machine of the first kind that performs negative work and requires millions of billions, trillions of input energy to generate electricity, and the one that requires 0. They're both perpetual motion machines, but they're very different. So soon you'll see in Wikipedia, they'll change the definition of perpetual motion machine to make it more tricky.
Broader.
Well, broader, but they'll try to trick everybody first.
Just like they changed the definition of a woman.
Yeah. But, so, when this originally came out, everybody was saying perpetual motion, perpetual motion. Our lab at Ottawa U was the perpetual motion lab. Everybody said that. And I said, no, 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 no. But it turns out they were all right. They were all right, but
People don't like to hear it.
no, they were right, but they were wrong. They were right, but they were only half right. It was perpetual motion, but it wasn't perpetual motion of the third kind, which would allow this to travel forever without plugging in. It was perpetual motion of the first kind. And so is every Faraday generator, and so is every Faraday motor. So, big whoop. don't need well, in order to understand what I just said, you need to not have a PhD. Because if you have a PhD, you won't be able to understand that.
So what's your goal with this? Where do you want to take this? You want to eventually sell the technology? Where do you want to take this?
So the new company that hopefully Sean and Ben and I are going to start, it's going to be called Covenant Intellectual Properties. He's fine.
He's young.
Covenant, it's going to be called Covenant Intellectual Properties. And a covenant is a solemn promise made between one or more people. Every father that has children has made a covenant with his children to provide them with the kind of future that maybe they have or better. I know Frank has a covenant with his children, and I have a covenant with my children, and Bogdan has a covenant. But the problem is, virtually no one, unless you're one of the deletists, virtually no one has the ability now to fulfill that covenant. Like, do you have the ability to fulfill the covenant that you have with your kids? No way.
Too much changes.
No way. No way. So, I'm answering your question. After 9/11, I saw the towers come down and gas prices go down when we invaded and yada, yada, yada. And it just made sense to me that it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. There's going to be more war. It's just going to get worse. So I made a covenant between myself and God and my kids that I wasn't going to be the beneficiary of murder and theft in the Middle East and whatever else. That was my covenant. So my covenant, while buying gas right after 9/11, was that I am not buying energy that is being paid for with human lives. That's the reality. Every single one of us is the beneficiary of murder and theft, whether we like it or not. And I said, not me, and not in my lifetime. And so here we are. The law of creation of energy, how electromagnetic field energy is created, how it performs negative work, been around since 1834, no big deal. Now we can use it to perform unlimited amounts of positive work with no cost, no pollution, no